about teaching us as a people that we're at war.
I want to speak about the image of our people. We have to be protective of our image.
Our ancestors, they were oppressed, and we are oppressed today.
Hello everybody, how y'all doing? Hotep, assalamu alaikum, peace, whatever greeting you want to use, we have for you today. Welcome to the Jah and Kev show. I am Jah, my brother over sitting next to me is Kev, and he has a lot to say, so do I tonight. Tonight's broadcast is one we've been just chomping at the bits to get to. We're going to be doing a podcast on the movie Sinners. So if you've seen the movie, we actually want you to call in and we want you to tell us what you've learned, because we're going to be peeling back the movie and talking about lessons that we've learned. We're not going to be getting into it about whether vampirism is true or not. We're going to be talking about what did that movie teach you when you look at the people's character and all of that. So this is going to be really interesting, Kev. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
One thing I want to give y'all, spoiler alert.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, then if you don't want to know about the movie, then just go ahead and sign off and come back and check us out on YouTube or on Facebook, on live page. And after you see the movie, then you come tune in and see what you like about it.
Hey.
But if you want to, this may make you want to see the movie.
There you go.
Mean, some people don't care. They be,
Right.
somebody tell them everything that's happening, and they still want to see it. So,
we're
going to have that discussion. We're going to peel back the layers, man.
Okay.
So first, let me ask you, did you like the movie?
Yeah, I really did. In fact, I enjoyed the movie to the fullest for me, because I'm really not a movie guy. But that one there had my antenna standing straight up.
And that's why I think it's important for us to support the movie, because these type of movies by us, for us, they're very rare when they have this type of meaning to it.
Sir.
And this has an undertone. It has layers you have to pin back. In fact, it reminds me when we used to do music, our people, early 1900s in this country, it was songs that was made that if you just listen to the song, it's like, okay, it's all right. But then if you find out what it was about,
there you go.
Like Billie Holiday, Strange Fruit. You just hear the song and you don't know what she's talking about. It's like, okay, but it's like, whoa, she's talking about us hanging. We're the fruit. You know? So this is the type of thing that it reminds me. Get Out, Us, this movie, they have undertones to it. It's not like you say, not vampire.
Right.
But it's a reason. It's a lot of symbolism. It's a lot of layers to peel back.
As you can see, Brother Kevin, he's ready to go, because I heard through the grapevine that the brother did his homework. He watched the movie like 10 times, y'all. I only had the chance to see it once or so, but he's seen it 10 times, so I know he has a whole lot to say. But what we're going to do is, because I definitely want to hear what we're going to deal with when we talk about these lessons, because there were so many lessons to learn if you looked at it that way. So we're going to set the table for you, and then I'm going to ask him. He can take the very first lesson that he learned, or the person, the character, and we'll deal with that. But this movie, for those who watched it, is basically about two brothers. The nickname that they were given were Smoke and Stack. These were two twin brothers who returned to their Mississippi hometown in Clarksdale, Mississippi, in around 1932 after working for gangsters in Chicago. And they aimed to start a new business by opening up a juke joint, but they were confronted by supernatural forces and issues, and just circumstances. So basically, this movie speaks to the dilemmas that come upon us all and our response to them. It tells about a people. It tells about their character, their integrity. It talks about when we're faced with challenges, what we do. So having said that, Kev, I want you to start off, and I'm going to jump in there somewhere where I can fit in, because there's a lot to say, and I just like to hear your first take on what did you learn and from who when it comes to these characters.
I learned a whole lot about this movie. The twins, both of them played by Michael B. Jordan. I think he did an excellent job, and I think the reason that they were twins, they showed twins, because you could have just had two siblings.
Right.
But I think the twins was the dynamic of twins, two peas in a pod. And actually, a lot of people think, well, they're thick as thieves. They run around together, but they're the same. They look the same,
Right.
But I think in this movie, they were actually different personalities.
Right.
And they came up in the same household. They looked the same. They're twins, but I think they had two different personalities and characteristics, and I think it played out in different parts of the movie when they tried to, and we'll peel back that.
Okay.
So
because and that's true, because I noticed something about all the characters, and this is my take as far as what I'm gonna be harping on today, Kev. I'm gonna be harping on some of the unresolved issues that every last one of them had issues, and just like us, we have issues, and a lot of times we don't face those issues. But the challenges that they had, besides the supernatural forces that were against them, they had concerns, they had problems, they had situations that hadn't been resolved in their lives. Right. And that's the part I want to come at on my behalf, because I look at my own life, and I looking at that movie, I can see that there are many things that I still need to address, Kev. I mean, I've got to address these issues if I'm going to be that man that I'm claiming that I am, because men and women alike, we have to face the challenges that we have before us, whether they stem from the past or whether they're going on now, but we can't run away from them. So that's kind of the aspect I wanted to come at. But give me a character, Kevin. Start this baby off, man.
If you wanna start with the twins themselves, or you wanna see, because there's the ambience, the whole thing about the movie. Like you set the stage of the movie, or the set of the movie. And one thing I'm gonna say about the movie is the brothers come home. They went to war. Mm-hmm. They went to war together. At first, when I first saw, I didn't realize that they went together, and I thought it was the characteristics between them that was the differentiating thing. But actually, they were together. Okay. And the thing, I think the movie is about them having a juke joint.
Right.
They came home to set up a juke joint. They had money that they made in Chicago working for El Capone and all of this, and they came home to make to start a business, basically a juke joint. Okay. And I think the juke joint meant something, what they were trying to do, because in the movie, them doing a juke joint that day, I think that's symbolism of building and putting things together. Because what they did, they came home and they went and they got this person from here, they went and got this person from there. And this is just a symbolism to me of how we should be building when we want to build an organization, if we want to do something, get something done, putting something together, we go get the people we know to do certain jobs. And I think in doing that, that's what that represented. But they also brought people in that maybe they shouldn't have brought in. And sometimes we make that mistake. And that's one of the things I do want to say. And I think it's about music. It's about culture. The movie is about our culture.
Yes, sir.
And those that blood suck off of our culture, that's the vampires coming in. I think Ryan Coogler used the vampires for a certain reason. Because one thing, they have to be invited in. And then if you go out unprotected, then you can become a victim. And once you become a victim of the vampirism, then you become part of them. You start doing their deeds, right. And also they suck off of your culture. And that's going to be something that I want to get into.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, and I want to talk about the brothers as well, but you said something that I wanted to talk about, and the young lady that played the part of the Asian lady, I think her name was Grace Chow in the movie, but you're right, she said something that was very important. Towards the end of the movie, she said to the vampires, she says, "Come on in, you MFers." In other words, she invited them in. She invited those problems in. And a lot of us are like that as well. I've learned that even though I understand it was a movie, a lot of the issues that we have, we invite those issues into us. See, if we deal with the issues at bay, a lot of times we don't have to worry about the consequences because we're dealing with it. But when she invited those issues in, then there were many problems. And a lot of us have a lot of unresolved issues that we're inviting into our lives, and we can't be that way. We should address those issues, but in other words, we bring issues up on ourselves.
We invite them in.
Some of the things that we do in life, because we have not really dealt with ourselves, like you said, we invite them in, and then when they come, we have to deal with them, whether we like it or not. And sometimes the consequences is not too pleasant.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get into Lee Chung-Lee, the actress that played that Grace Chow. But I also want to ask anybody that wants to call in, you want to give us your input.
Yeah, what you learn.
361-405-6111. You can come in. We ask you come in and get out. If you want, even if you come in, get out, make your point, you can come back in. We're going to let you back in. You're being invited. We're inviting y'all in.
Right.
We don't think we got any bloodsuckers or vampires out there on this. So the thing about the Asian thing, see, before I go into the care, I want to go, see, they showed the Asian relationship in the black community. And I think that's still prevalent today. At that time, the Asians were in America. They wasn't being treated as bad as we were, they wasn't being liked. But if you know, in the movie, they had 2 stores, and it was a street. They had a store for the black side, for the black people, and they had a store for the white people.
Right.
And that's what it showed, one thing to me. So it's trying to show the relationship that the Asians had. They were in the middle. They needed a store. The white people didn't ban them from having. They patronized them, but they wouldn't patronize them with us, because we couldn't go to the same store white people. So the Asians, they benefited off of it, because they had a white store and then they had a black store, and both of them stores was doing good business, and they were the ones that, and in reality today it's still the same thing, except they are in our neighborhoods, and you know, they're not treated as bad as us, but they're not treated as good as them. And it's the immigrant thing. You know, they come here in this country, long as they're above us, they don't care about the problems that we're having. But they also being patronized by the white culture.
Excellent point to bring out, Kev. One of the things that I wanted to peel back, and I know we're jumping all over the place, but we're talking about the movie center, so we're not jumping too much because we're still talking about the movie itself. Was the sister? Her name? I take that back. She was a European. Her name was Mary. She was Stack's ex-girlfriend. Now I noticed something about her that I want to talk about briefly, and I noticed she was one of those persons who was emotionally wounded. So you say, well, what do you mean by emotionally wounded? Here's a woman who had so much happen in her life. Her mother had passed away. All these past events she was hurt by. Her mother had passed away. She was traumatized because she loved a man who left her. She was affected psychologically because of her experiences. And so what I'm saying is, I learned that that's how many of us are today. We're still dealing with unresolved issues, even when it comes to a love situation where you wanted someone, or I wanted someone, and we couldn't get that person, and we moved on in life. But in our heart of hearts, we still love that person, and we had to come to grips with, sometimes in life we don't get what we want, but do we carry around the scar? Do we carry around the baggage? She seemed to be very, very bitter. She was angry, and I do get the point why, but the point of it is it's like she was obsessed with the past, and a lot of us are like that today. See?
Wow. So the Mary, I think that was she was played by Haley Steinfeld. I
told y'all he saw it 10 times. He knows the names, y'all. I told y'all he saw it 10 times.
She I think and the actress is actually, she has she's part black, and then at that time, if you had a drop of black blood in you was considered black. She was a person that could pass for white in this movie, but she chose to she chose the black side. She chose to be around us. She had a love interest. One of the brothers, she was with Stack, and he basically, they grew up in her household. And what happens with the twins is they dad comes up dead, and they told their cousin, which is the musician Preacher Boy, and his Sammy Moore was his character, real name was the name and the character, but they called him Preacher Boy because his dad was a preacher. The twins' dad and his dad were brothers. Now, he asked them, he said, hey, y'all told me when I became old enough, y'all let me know what happened to y'all dad. And what ended up happening is he felt, I think they felt that maybe the twins killed their dad. But the Stack told him, no, my brother killed him, because my dad knocked me out cold. He said, when I woke up, he was dead. My brother, but what it was, they grew up in her household. And Stack ended up messing with her, which is the younger twin. And his characteristics, we want to talk about the twins. To me, he was a hustler type. You know, to me, from the things, he was the businessman. He was about the money and trying to make the money like that. I think he was the playboy type. And they made a reference in the movie when Smoke was more about business, like standing on business. Right. Smoke was the one that was serious, and he was like the accountant. He wants the money to come in, but he wanted a certain way. He felt a different way about money. And if you remember in the movie when they had the juke joint going, and his girl interest, we'll talk about her, and Stack was selling alcohol.
Right.
And some of the people, they were like, how much were they? Like 50 cents. And it's like, man, all I got is 35 cents, but I got 2 wooden nickels, which are like tokens that you could spend at. And Smoke was looking at him, and they was like, okay. And he was like, whoa, let me talk to y'all. Like, he's about his business like that. But when they got into it, he asked her a certain question. He asked his brother certain. He said something about when you was in Little Rock, and he said, like, basically selling women, did you take cash? So I think that's something that some people miss. But I think I heard him say that, and it's like basically like he's that slick person with business. And you see this with sometimes siblings. One, even if they're in the streets, one would be the muscle. Right. The other one would be the businessman or the slick person. I think that's how their personalities differ too. Wow. But with Mary, he messed with Mary, and she was in love with him. And the thing about her, if we stay on Mary, she wanted to be with the black side. She was in the juke joint. They was like, no, you can't come in here. At first, they didn't know who she was. I think Cornbread was the dude at the door. He was like, you can't come in here. She's like, what? You gonna tell me? He said, oh, Mary? She grew up. She said, yeah, I ain't a little girl no more. But she wanted to be with the blacks. Her black part of her was who she wanted to be part of. But she also tried to have a relationship with the white side when the white people that came, the white people in the movie were the vampires, basically, or the Klan. They didn't have any good white people in the movie, basically. They were the Klan members and the vampires, which is the bloodsuckers. To me, the vampires are the bloodsucker of the crossover that they absorb colonialism. It's like colonialism. It's like the American culture of blood sucking off of other people's culture or whatever they do. They steal or they take from you and they don't give back. So that's why I say bloodsucker. So the white people were either vampires or they were Klansmen. So this is another it's no, and like even in Wakanda and all this stuff, there was always one white person trying to go out his way to help. But I like that they didn't take the time to have that token white person like saying all of them not bad. It's like they did what they wanted to do, how they wanted to do it, and they didn't have no tokens in there trying to do anything.
Wow, that's good, Kevin. And I also saw them as challenges. The vampires, the guy Remick that played as the lead vampire, I saw him and his people. I saw them as situations. I saw them as obstacles, because every time they came, there was something going on that had to be addressed. And this is how the world is, and we deal with white people every day. And the challenge is, how do we deal with them? You know, do we act like some of the people may have acted in the movie? Or do we just kind of say, well, this is the way life is? But I saw them confronting these people. And I think we've got to confront.
And you can confront them when you stay amongst your own. The joke joint represented us and our culture without anybody. Now they let the Asians in. And this is what I got out of that also. When they let the Asians in the beginning, it had the narrator, the oracle, she was talking about having special talents that could conjure up ancestors and the people of the future, but it conjures up good spirits and bad spirits. And this is where the vampires came in. Now when Sammy was playing the guitar, you know, he was burning a joint down, and they showed that in the symbol, like him burning a joint down, and that brought the evil spirits. He conjured up the ancestors and the future people, and this is seen in the movie. Some people liked, some people didn't. Well, all of them are playing, but the Asians was in there with us. You know, they don't get treated right by the white people, but so they kind of come with us and they jamming with us, but all the people that was in there are people of rhythm. You know, the Asians, even in they festivals and stuff, they playing some type of rhythm. And of course we had our rhythm in there. They played different type of music inside of there, but when the whites tried to come in, they had to be invited in, and they was like, well, let us show you what we could do. And if you notice, they had it was that that banjo stuff that he was singing, and they kind of laughed, and then but when they actually started getting more of us, like what was happening with the vampires, once they bit you, it's not like any other vampire movie. They said that they have a connection with you. They're absorbing your energies and everything you could do, and they all on the same page. So at first they was playing country music, like banjo stuff. Then when he went back, because he was actually like old English, like Irish, that was his accent and his background. But when they started getting everybody that left the club, they started biting them. They started playing again. They had rhythm. They had more rhythm. The songs, and the black people was dancing, and it was like, you know, it was like they was getting down more, but it wasn't still us.
Yeah, that's right. I still saw the afflictions, whenever they came around. I saw mishaps, crisis. Every time you look around, it was something. And that was a lesson to me, is that the guy that put it together, Mr. Kugler, he even showed symbolically that we've always had to deal with them in some capacity, you see. We've always had to deal with them in some kind of way, and a lot of us like to avoid them or evade them, or we like to wish they're not here. We don't like to talk about what they're doing, but they still affect our lives to this very day. And I think if you watch that movie and you looked at it symbolically and you got that, at least some of this, what we're talking about, you walked away from that movie saying, wow, I have a lot of work to do. Because nothing has changed, just like you mentioned. So as it was back then, so as it is today. Yeah. And we have to take lessons from that.
And before we get off of Mary, I'm going to say this. Because she's able to pass for white, a lot of times, and even people that are white, and this is a thing that's prevalent today. Because you are associated with us, you may be a white person that has a white woman that has a black boyfriend or black husband. A lot of times these people, they feel as if they have a say-so in our problem solving.
Yes,
now, you could say so. You could say, I'm not saying, but you shouldn't feel like, well, because I'm here, because I have a black wife or I got a black husband, I got a right. And it's like them saying, well, I got black friends, so blah, blah, blah. And it's like you feel, it's like that person that feels that they have a say-so in the problem solving, that they really understand us to a point that really you don't understand it. You could be friends with us, you could be allies with us, but you can't sit there and try to act like you actually know what it is, because she can actually pass both ways. She's going to be treated differently. And when she was at the train station, she was, she wasn't like hanging out on the strip with them, and that's why I think Mary is. And then when the vampire, she's the one that let them in initially. She was the one that came as a vampire, came in because they knew her and they recognized she went outside to see what was up with them, because she felt like, okay, maybe I'm the one that can relate. And then she went out there trying to relate, and she got bitten, and she was able to walk in, and that became the downfall of Stack. So I just wanted to put that out about Mary. I think people need to think about that. You could be our friends, you could be our ally. I could have a white wife, but I can't talk to her. I don't understand being white. I don't understand. I can't sit there and go in front of a bunch of white people, say, well, my wife is white, so let me tell y'all this. No, I'm still who I am, and I came up how I came up, no matter who I'm around. And we always have people that come up around us that we accept, but they sometimes feel like they got a voice in our issues, and you don't understand fully.
We want you to call us. The phone should be ringing off the hook now at 361-405-6111. I repeat, 361-405-6111. Give us a call and tell us what you learned from the movie. What insights did you gather? What lessons did you take from the movie to put into your own life to become a better person? So we're waiting on that to happen. But before you want to read the comment or so?
Yeah, let me go. Okay. I want to appreciate and thank Nikita for showing up. She said, I'm going on Sunday. Okay, so maybe you tuned out. Maybe that's good, so we don't spoil it for you. Marie, she said, Hotep Brothers. And Nikita said, love y'all, love us. She said, I love y'all, fam. I guess hopefully she checked out, so we didn't spoil it. Sakina, she gave the greetings. Walaikum assalam, sisters. I appreciate you. Then we have Jacqueline Henderson. She said, so many of us are broken. We patch our emotional wounds up, but we don't heal all the way. I appreciate that comment. And Coretta, she checked in. She said, hello, young man. I think she was talking to me. And Jacqueline came back. She said, working as an ICU RN for years, she said, I observed twins always come out of the womb with very different personalities. Just because people look identical, they are totally different on the inside. I appreciate that. And we could touch into that when we go into the twins. And Aisha Ray showed up. She said, hey, Cuzzo, I appreciate that.
Wow, those are some excellent comments, and we appreciate those comments. But if you have a phone call that you want to make the phone call to call us and talk to us a little bit about the movie Sinners. That's what we're talking about tonight on the Jah and Kev Show. I'm not transitioning to another person, but I'm just going to say a name that just makes me feel great inside from watching the movie. And that name is none other than Annie, the spokeswoman. Annie, man, she was Smoke's longtime girlfriend who had a baby. They went through so much together. I believe the baby had passed away, but basically, I saw her as the leader. I saw her as the whole movie. I saw an African woman as the centerpiece in my estimation. She was the one. And I'm glad they displayed the black woman in that light, because a lot of movies, the black woman is always second class. She's always put behind the 8 ball. She's always someone they're speaking negative of. But to me, in my estimation, I saw her as the bona fide leader. When the stuff, I almost said it, but I got to watch my mouth. There may be some children watching this. When the stuff hit the fan, she was the one who did everything she could based upon what she knew in life to try to help that situation. And I'm so glad they displayed this woman, this black woman, with those kind of characteristics.
Now, Annie, I'm going to say this, a savior. She was a savior in the movie. She was the hero in the movie. She was the one that everyone leaned on. She had information for everyone when they was like, what's going on with her? What's going on with the vampire, the whole vampire? She was like, these are vampires. You know, she told them. They're like, well, what do you do to fight? When one of the brothers became, and he was inside with them, and he was about to, wreak havoc. She came and she hit him with the water, what was that, garlic water, the garlic, and it started, and he jetted out. They started, well, what do we do? And she was like, do this, do this, do this. And like you said, and this is another thing about that, her looks. She didn't have the Hollywood feature looks. Many times when they have us in a movie, we have to have a certain beauty standard that they have imposed upon us. And she didn't have it. Her hair was natural. Her body was normal.
Yeah.
She didn't have this thin, all this stuff. It was like a normal black sister. And then she practiced hoodoo.
Yeah.
Tell them what is hoodoo? What is hoodoo?
This is something that comes from a certain part of the world where people use images and they use symbols and they use objects to try to tell what's going to happen and what to do when these things happen and how to prevent these things from happening. She was a female who had strength. She was the leader, and I just want to say 2 words that I got from her. It was the inner strength. I mean, like you mentioned, it wasn't so much outer beauty, but the inner strength that she had, man. I felt so great every time she opened her mouth because I fell in love with her character. And, again, I'm not a movie guy, but I found myself sitting at the edge of my seat every time she did something or said something, because she showed when you face hardships, when I face hardships, you got to have a black woman that's strong. And when I saw that, man, I almost hit the ceiling, because I'm so glad they displayed her as that type of person. Because, again, so often we go to movies and it's a black woman. She's always the butt of the jokes, or she's always being made fun of. But this particular
loud one,
angry black
shaking
woman,
your head and all this stuff like that. But she was the one. She was protecting the twins with her hoodoo. She gave them. She said, "I see you still got." I'm
gonna confess to you now, Kev. I'm gonna confess to you. If I go see it again, notice I said if. That's a conditional clause. If I go see it again, the reason I'm gonna go see it again is because of Annie.
Right, and Annie, and it's a lot that in that person that people can, because they had a lot of beautiful women in there.
Yeah,
they had the Asian woman. She was beautiful. Lee Jun Lee. They had the lady that played Miss Perline.
Yeah,
she was beautiful. She was the stereotypical when they have us, but she was dark skinned. Right, which is Then they had the Mary, which is she's not really looking black, but she has black in real life. She has black in her. So they had an array of black cast in there, but they made her a prominent provider and protector in the movie. And she was with Smoke. They had a child together that died, and there was something I'm gonna bring up about something at the end that was very interesting. But I don't want to jump to that. I'm gonna wait to the end for that.
Okay.
But she was a great. I appreciate her part in it.
What about Sammy? You said something on one of our little infomercials about Sammy. I know you can't get into all of it, but if you can summarize something that you heard or you've been seeing and you wanted to kind of
well, Sammy. Let's talk about Sammy. Okay. Sammy was mainly it's Stack and Smoke are the main characters, but it's also surrounding Sammy too. Sammy is the one that has the gift that the Oracle was talking about. He's one of the one that has the gift. Now the thing I want to talk about him and Delta Slim, which played by Delroy Lindo. He played an excellent role, Delta Slim. Delta Slim was a musician. He was the old guy. He was a legendary person. but he kind of was wasting his talents because he was an alcoholic.
Right.
He was a drunk, and that is something. Whether it's the alcoholism, and the thing about it, Sammy would look at him like he was like, man, that's Delta Slim. And when Stack and him went to go get him off the street. But he wanted to be paid with alcohol. You know, that was his. And Sammy kind of looked up to him until he started to get to know him. And he's seen. You remember when they was in the vehicle, Sammy was in the back seat. He kind of looked at when he was like, I know all the. It was like they was passing by a chain gang, and he said, "Slow down." He started yelling, "Delta Slim!" And Sammy was like, "You know them?" He's like, "I know all of them."
Yeah.
He said, and he was telling the story about what happened, and the story goes along with the vampirism of America, you know, how America fed off of us. And he was telling a story on how they collected them up as if they accused them of doing a crime, and because they were good at music, they actually took them and made money off of them and took them to the white area. The white people didn't want to come to listen. They like he say, they like the blues, they just don't like who sings the blues. So he say they took them there and they had them play, and these people had money and they got paid good. And then when they left, Sammy asked him, he's like, "Well, what did you do with your money?" He said, "I drank it." And Sammy kind of looked at him like, "Bro, like I'm not gonna waste my talent like that. Like you have a what's the word I'm looking for? You have an addiction.
Yeah.
You have an addiction." And in reality, Sammy looked down on him for his addiction because he just said, I drank my alcohol. And he told him why. He said because his experience with the other person that say, I'm going to do something positive with it, they destroyed that. The Klan came in and they accused him of stealing the money from a white man and raping his wife. The story of Tulsa, you know, Rosewood, all of them. It's always something when they wanted to steal from us or take from us, they claimed that we committed some crime and they made all of us pay for that crime, but they lynched him. They took his money because they said that he came about it the wrong way. So that made Delta Delta Slim kind of like shy away from, I'm not doing that. He called him a fool for wanting to do something with his money positive. And Sammy was looking at him like, when he said he drank his money, but then Sammy had an addiction too. Sammy's addiction was different. Like all of us have these certain vices that we have. His addiction was the fame. He wanted to, and that's what Smoke was telling him. Nah, you need to use your talents and stay down in the Delta. Don't worry about Chicago. Like he knows that's what's going to happen. They're going to use you. You worried about, you know, the same thing with the vampires, but that's America. You go up there for the fame and fortune, and you're going to be part of their culture, and they're going to blood suck from you and take from you. So that's what I think Smoke knew, and he was telling me, he said, "I'll kill you myself." And, you know, he said, "Well, you're going to have to kill him," because he was addicted. His dad was trying to tell him, stay, you know, stop dancing with the devil, because one day he's going to come home with you. And I think that's what the movie is about, dancing with the devil, our people, our culture, dancing with the devil of symbolism of America, crossing over. A lot of our artists want to cross over, and then once they cross over, they're going to try to tell you you should be doing the same, or you stupid for not doing it. You know, they chasing the money. They're addicted to the money, to cross over, and then they become part of mainstream America. And I think that's what I get about the vampirism too.
Yeah, and see, I saw Sammy in a different light, and I agree with you wholeheartedly what you said about Sammy, Preacher Boy, but I saw him as aspirational. I saw him they told him throughout the movie, like Smoke, they were telling him, you know, stay here, you know, and don't worry about getting outside of these confines. But he didn't, and apparently if you saw the whole movie, those who watched it, he didn't listen to him, and he did do what he does best. That was his gift. He utilized his gift, you know, regardless of how. He took what he had in him, and he didn't let no one. He could have allowed them to stay here, and then he could have been like Delta Slim or anyone as far as that matters, just staying where he was. But he took that gift on the road. He wanted to do it. He was motivational. I see him as a visionary, even though he had issues, because all of us have issues in life. But yet, even with Delta Slim, you know, you mentioned some excellent points about Delta Slim, but I also saw him as resilient. Because a lot of us, when we go through issues, it breaks us. It cracks us up. Our minds are so screwed up that we're no good to our own selves. But I see these people that, regardless, like I said at the beginning, regardless of what they went through, the problems, the challenges, everything they went through, they still showed and displayed character that, to me, is just awesome, because they went on and did the best that they could with what they had during that time. But Sammy, I really appreciated his role because at the end of the day, when life had passed him up and he went on about his business, after all the things that happened to him, he pursued the thing that he knew he was best at. And apparently, from what we saw at the end, he wasn't out there doing the things that a lot of us do. He was an elder man, of course, but he followed his dream. So to those who are out there now, if you have a dream and you're good at it, no matter what your family say, no matter what I or anyone else say to tell you don't do it, if that's what you're good at and you're going to do it honestly, and you want to make something of yourself, you have to follow it.
Yeah, regardless of what I think looking at one, see, this is what I'm saying about so many layers to this. Like you see something, I see something. I'm gonna add on something else because I noticed something. And I appreciate Stephanie Collier for showing up. I'm gonna go back to her comments because she's commenting in real time. She said she was, first of all, she said she's sorry she's late. She said they listened to her talking about Annie. You know, when you were talking about Annie, and she said what she was doing was uniquely African American, and Barbara came in and said, "Hotep, I appreciate Ladae showing up." She said, "Good evening," and Stephanie also said he escaped oppression from both sides. Now, this is one thing I'm gonna say about Sammy also. He had dreams of making it big. The joint that he was playing in was not massive joint. You know what I'm saying? So that's like what we would call a hole in the wall, especially in Chicago.
Chitlin circuit.
Chicago, yeah. I mean, the Chitlin circuit was down south, but when you in Chicago, they have big play. But then he was playing in one of what we call a hole in the wall. But he was successful. It was about him. His mural was on the wall and all that. And so he was successful, but he wasn't that. I don't think his dreams were fulfilled like he may have thought it would be. And I think that showed what they were trying to tell him when he was asking him, what is Chicago like? And he said, I heard that it's no Jim Crow and it's not this and it's not this. He had a vision of Chicago that they kind of shot down. There's like Chicago is Mississippi, plantations, tall buildings, that's the plantation. Basically, it's the same thing for black people. It's just in a different way.
Exactly.
So that's one thing I got, but it's many layers like that. It's not you right, you wrong, you wrong. And I think it's just many layers that you can look at in that movie. I heard somebody talk about Sammy sold his soul. And they were talking about at the end in the mirror when Stack and the girl came back. They're vampires. And the reason that Stack's still alive, all the vampires in the movie ended up dead at that scene, but his brother spared him and told him, I'm going to spare you, just don't touch Sammy, you know, leave him alone. And that's why he came back and he let him know. But the guy was talking about, well, if you look in the bar at the end, they're across from a mirror and you don't see, of course, you don't see their reflection, but you don't see Sammy's either. So that means he sold his soul and he was making them. When I looked at it, I said, nah, you could see his reflection. Just from the angle, it's just small, it's at the corner. So I think that Sammy never sold his soul. I think that the person like Ryan Coogler was basing his character on was Robert Johnson. I think that's his name. The guy, the folklore is it's supposed to be a true story, but they say he sold his soul to the devil for fame. But I think that he borrowed that character and he changed who he was. And I think, but the thing about the selling your soul, and I think this is big about the movie, it's about selling your soul to the devil or dancing with the devil. I think that Sammy sold his soul as far as the church was concerned, because many of our artists that started off in the church, you don't have a lot of publicity. You're not going to get a lot of fame and fortune being in the choir at the church. But this is where you may have started as a young kid or whatever. I don't care if you're talking about Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin. A lot of them always say, well, I started singing in the church, or Tina Turner, whatever. And then in the minds of the church, once you cross over to secular music, you're selling your soul to the devil. And you're doing it for the fame and fortune. And I think that's one thing that I see in our people. They see that as you selling your soul for popularity.
Stephanie, I want to go back to what Sister Stephanie said. She says what Annie was doing, what she was doing was uniquely African-American. I can't give her any more applause than what her words said. Stephanie hit the nail on the head. In other words, she's showing that no matter what the African-American male goes through, the African-American woman is there for him. That's as simple as I can get it, because she has endured all the stuff we've been through as people, as just a race of so-called race of people. The African American woman has stood by our side, and I'm sick and tired of them displaying them as running out on us, or the ones that are the gold diggers, or the ones that are not right. But she's right. What she did was totally African American. In other words, they know what we have been through, and they're there for us in spite of our, sometimes even when Smoke left and came back, Annie was still there for him. Now she could have said, go on, you left me, go on about your business, but she still was ready to rekindle the fire. I know it takes two to tango, but again, it shows the resiliency of the African American woman. It shows her strength, it shows her character, it shows her beauty, it shows her essence as a woman, to know the signs of the time when it comes to us as a people. And I think that you cannot depict that any clearer than what I just said.
And I like how he expanded that character. Like I say, he didn't go with the normal Hollywood. He even had a lot of times when they have a heavy set woman or whatever, they had never showed them in love scenes, because they don't, and it's like they did, with her. He broke all of the stereotypical things, that they when they do show us, they may have a woman that's a big boned woman or a heavy set, but they don't make them like a love interest. They want to always show this certain stereotype or beauty standard of woman. They show her in a love scene, but they did with her. I appreciate that. If y'all want to call in, the number is 361-405-6111.
Yeah, let's talk about them brothers, man, because we run out of. We better talk about them brothers.
Some time before, let's talk about Stack and Smoke. Like I know Jacqueline said something about twins being different, but sometimes they are the same. Sometimes, I mean, you have siblings that's the same, or you have siblings that's different. I think the things that showed their difference, the girls that they was chasing, the women is a representation. Your woman is a representation of you. Stack was he abandoned her. He left her at night. They made love, whatever, and he jetted. And he told her, "I'll be back," and he jetted. So he didn't have a love interest really. Mary was the woman that he ended up really loving, but he did her wrong, and he was pushing her away. He even spoke to her a certain way. Smoke was different with the woman because he had Annie. That was the woman that he was with, this powerful black woman, and the beauty. He didn't chase beauty standards that other maybe men would do. So that's why I say that's one big difference in them. I think Smoke was, and the Smoke and Stack, what I noticed about them, this is one thing I noticed about them. Smoke said something about, he always had to protect Stack. This is what I believe. He didn't say it, but in so many words, when he told Sammy, he said, watch him, because he don't know how to watch his own back. So, and he was the one that had guns. Stack had a knife. And it's a saying, even in the beginning when they bought the place from the Klan member, they didn't know he was a Klan. They kind of said something about, y'all better not come back. That's saying that they smart enough to know, we'll buy it, y'all sell it to us, and then y'all come take it back. Same thing Delta Slim was talking about his friend. We made the money, and y'all have a way of coming back and stealing what we did. And when the guy opened up his jacket with showing his gun, Smoke showed, I got two of them mugs, and then Stack came behind, but Stack had a knife. And there's something about bringing a knife to a gunfight. At the end, what was he, if he was still alive and the Klan came, the Klan had all them guns. Right. And he got a knife. You know what I'm saying? It's like something about you bringing a knife to a gunfight. And I think it's like with their dad, Smoke ended up killing their dad over Stack, So I think that's a difference in the twins. The woman that they were with is a representation of their characters.
Well, we got us a call in, bro, Kev. So let's see what this call is talking about. Let's see here. Let's see when it stops buffering. Go ahead, caller. Thanks for calling the Jah and Kev show. What did you like about the movie Sinners, and what did it teach you? Talk to us.
I thought about the movie Sinner was very good. But what I want to talk about is basically about the love that Smoke and Stack had for each other. Even though they seem to be opposite as far as personality, that love was there, because when Stack became that vampire, even though Smoke knew what he needed to do to kill this vampire, the love was there because he couldn't do it.
Right.
And so, as you see in the ending, and I don't want to be the spoiler, and I know y'all probably haven't gotten there yet, but you see Stack coming back to the old man, but he made a promise to his brother that he wouldn't do anything to Preacher Boy. And he asked Preacher Boy, do you want to live? Basically forever. So my thing is with Stack and Smoke, they show two brothers, twins, even though they had seemed like they had opposite personality, the love was strong.
Wow, that's good.
Right.
And you could see the strength in them throughout the whole movie. Each one of them had their own, like you say, Smoke was more of the serious. He was the money man. All he thought about was the money, making that money. But you also see Stack being the kind of the fun brother, you know.
Yeah.
But the love that I liked about Smoke was the love that he had for his woman.
Right.
As well.
Yeah.
They lost a child. And so Annie tells him, if I get bitten, you gotta put that through my heart, because she wanted her soul to be released.
Yeah, released.
So there's a lot of strongness, you know, in that movie. So I just encourage people to go out and see. You know, you have people that say it was a nothing or this and that. I don't know what they were looking for, you know, those that criticized it. But I thought personally that it was a good movie. It shows black folks, you know, it shows us loving, but we also are protectors. And we, especially with Annie was a protector,
right,
in a sense, because she knew what needed to be done when it came to those vampires. If you notice in the movie, she wanted to make sure that everybody was straight. So what did they have to do? They all had to eat some garlic, basically.
Yeah.
And they went around there and ate that garlic. So she knew what to do, and she said, don't invite them in.
Right.
But as you know, the Chinese lady, she invited them in, and that just did it. As long as they hadn't invited them in, they probably would have been okay.
Right.
But she invited them in. So that's what I wanted to say on my take with that, was with Stack and Smoke. How two brothers who really, you know, who loved each other, and who Smoke loved his brother, Stack, because he could have killed him.
Right, because he wanted to kill. He would have killed.
He would have killed Smoke.
Yeah, Stack would have, because he wanted to come in. Remember, he was trying to open the door, man. You know, when he had him locked in. So Stack, when he was trying to come back in, remember, he started telling him. He said, "Look, man, all that stuff, you know, it's gonna happen anyway, bro. Like them white folks gonna do this anyway." Yeah, and they were like, "Man, don't listen to him." But see, they all had somebody from the other side talking to him. But that was a great call. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thanks for the call.
All right, thank you.
And see, what she did was she apparently went to this movie to learn. See, and that's the thing that we have to do more of as people. We have to go to the movies and stop talking about somebody's cute or somebody's fine. We got to learn, what is this saying to us? What can we learn from it? And this is what I like about that call and all the other people that are commenting. They're showing us these are lessons to learn. And I want to pick up on what she said, too, about Stack and Smoke, which I saw the similarities more than the differences, because I saw both being ambitious, and they weren't money driven. They were entrepreneurs, you see. Right. So I saw a whole lot of similarities, although there were differences. But what she said was true, because we know, now let's take it today and say, how does that apply to us today? We know that some of our family members are not right. And there's no sense of us sitting on this broadcast or watching this trying to make everybody think everybody in our family is great and perfect. No, we have some people in our family that are no good, okay? And we have the opportunity to do something about that, but we don't. Think of the fathers who have sons who grow up, and we don't teach them to be men. When they become grown, it comes back to haunt us because we didn't do our job. So that call was spot on, and I think we need to have more discussions about whatever we do, whether it's a song, whether it's a movie, whatever it is, a discussion, what did we learn? And I learned that the love between siblings sometimes is so filial, is so great that nothing can come between it. But as she said, and as you said, at the end of the day, if we don't handle our business, the consequences comes back. And sometimes they haunt us.
The number again, I know Stephanie is asking for the number, is 361-405-6111. That's 361-405-6111.
Didn't they want to carve out a new future together, Stack and Smoke? I know it didn't happen. It didn't happen because of the actual the plot of the story. But it's like if that would have lasted, I think they would have done that for a while, because it seemed like they both were determined. You know, they didn't argue like, say, if you and I want to do something and you say, well, Jah, I don't want to do it, and I'm saying, no, Kev, let's do it, and we're going back. I didn't see any of that.
The way I saw Stack, like I say, to me, he was more. He was a hustler type, a business hustler type. I think Smoke saw money as just power, and he wasn't yielding even when it came to our people. Like I said, when they was trying to pay, they didn't have the money. Smoke was like, the hell with that. They was like, nah, man, you can't do this. They worked all this week for this change that they got. So they was like, being yielding to our people. They both cared about the money, but I think Smoke was more stringent with it. Mm-hmm. As far as Stack, what it is Delta Slim also. He sacrificed. You say he was a good guy. He sacrificed for everybody. He said, go head up. Yeah. He sacrificed. And also at the end, because the caller said this, I'm going to say this about Stack. Smoke spared his brother, and they made a deal. His brother didn't renege on the deal, but his brother came back and asked Sammy, do you want to live forever? You know, but what it was, the temptation came back again to Sammy. Mm. Do you want to do this, or do you want to live forever? And he was like, nah, I'm good how I am.
Yeah, well, we got another caller that's calling in, Sister Stephanie. Go ahead, Sister Stephanie. When you hear my voice, tell us what's on your mind about the movie Sinners, and we definitely appreciate you calling us tonight.
Sure. I told Kevin I was not going to miss this, so I'm sorry I was late. For me, like what I took away from the movie is that it was really like a spiritual experience. I saw it in IMAX here in Austin, and there was just really one scene in particular where I felt like I was in the movie, and it was that dance scene where Sammy starts playing, and they're calling on people from the past, the present, and the future. And I've been to the National African American History Museum in D.C., and there's an exhibit there that, you kind of feel the same way, because it's interactive, you dance. I mean, they got the mothership in there.
Wow. they got the mothership from Parliament Funkadelic. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the go-go music with the drums and just all kinds of different music, jazz, blues. And it made me think that the times that I felt like that is when I felt like I was one with people, my people, our people, in church, if we're singing, or if I'm out at the park and we're all line dancing and having fun. It's when we all get on that same, frequency. And I really think that was the biggest message behind this film, is to not forget who we are. Right. And when we move together, we good. Yeah. When we get separated or the infighting stuff happens, because it's the same theme from Black Panther, both of the Panther movies, and also guarding what we have. Like, we can talk to each other without talking to each other.
Right.
And I thought about how instinctively we've all known to just stand down. Stay in the house, work on your garden, work on whatever you want to work on, but don't get involved in whatever that other stuff is going on. Don't go outside with the vampires.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's great. I'm glad you called in. Did you have another point?
All right. No, that was it. That was just the main thing for me that I took away, is that, when we get on the same frequency, we're invincible. Yeah, when we start getting off, things happen.
Yeah, I appreciate. See, one thing that she brought up, that the music, right? The music different. Then this is what a problem that we have as a people. We oh, he can't sing like this. Or from my generation, that we don't appreciate younger generations. Sometimes the younger generation, they may not appreciate our generation. That's old folks, but nobody want to listen to that. But it's all been the same. We've been jamming. It's just the music may change, but I don't care if you're in church. It's our church is not like some other people churches, like other culture church. We jam in our churches. You know, I don't care what it is. I heard, you know, even in Islam, I heard a brother singing a prayer.
Right.
And I was like, man, he's doing that. You know, he made me feel different than any time I'm hearing the call for prayer. I'm like, beautiful. Oh, and it's like we have that in us, and I think that's one thing. I'm glad you brought that up. That saying the ancestors. And the new people. Now, I had a problem at first when I started seeing like, oh man, they got Crips and Bloods in there. But I was like, you know what? I think my daughter kind of like talked to me. She's like, well, it's all of us, you know. And sometimes we just use it in different ways.
Right.
And we can't be influenced by the vampirism out there. If you're doing it for the money, then you're going to have the type of music that's going to show that you're doing it for the money. You know, you're selling out. That's what that vampirism means to me.
Wow. A beautiful call, Sister Stephanie. Yeah, Kevin.
Guys. I love your show.
All right, thank you, sister.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, and she brought out that aspect of it. Our culture, we continue to bring to the world, not just to the United States. We bring to Africa. We bring to North America, South America,
Brazil, Jamaica.
Asia. We bring so much. Well, I guess I was going to say I thought we had another call, but anyway, that shows us that. Like she said, that's who we are, man. I mean, because of our condition, we have created something that people can't duplicate. I mean, you can try it all you want to, but you can't duplicate that because that comes from our very essence. And we speak to the world by way of who we are as a people. And I think that's unmatched.
And like I said at the beginning, I think that juke joint thing was us putting and building, and it could represent anything that we're putting together and building us in the future, the past. And I mean, you learn from the history. You know, you learn from our ancestors. You learn from our past, even if it's just the 60s or what the Black Power movement. You learn from all of these things, and you bring that into something. And then you got to have the younger people involved too, because a lot of things we try to build, whatever age, and we may be middle age, or then we want to build something, but we want to keep the young people because y'all come with all, you know. No, it's all of us together. And when we build something like that, and we have all this, then it's going to be that juke joint. That's going to be powerful. That's going to be powerful.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. We have so much more to even talk about, but you know, we just combing, we're peeling back some layers of the movie Sinners. Again, we don't want to shut it off now because it's hot. So if you want to give us a call, we'll go overtime. You go into a football or basketball game, you get excited because it's overtime.
Is it time and a half?
Yeah, time and a half.
Overtime, time and a half. Okay, all
right. So just give us a call. Once again, at 361-405-6111. We love the callers. We love the comments. Keep commenting. We'll read your comment and say something about your comment, because this is something that, like Sister Stephanie said, we should all even put our insight in. I'm learning from you. You're learning from me. We're learning from the audience. You know, so it's like, this is what unity is all about, Kev. So often we talk about unity, but we just don't like to display it. Like
Sister Marie said on her call, some people went to the movie, and some people that you can't please because they looking for just the superficial action pack, and I want this to happen, and they can't peel the layers back. And you know, that's the problem. I think a lot of times just seeing the layers being peeled back will help somebody that's going to see the movie. And maybe when you go see it again, maybe it's like, man, I wasn't that good, but then you hear somebody talk about it, it's like, okay, maybe I'm missing something. But some people go there for just the surface value.
And I gotta say this, Kev, too, because I'm so glad you brought that up, and I want to take a quick stab, and I'm gonna get out. I want to stab it and leave it alone. Or James Brown to say, I'm gonna hit it and quit. Okay, but what I think sometimes when we go to movies, we see these people, they act. Let's say, for example, Michael B. Jordan. Okay, he's done Creed and other movies, okay? So we look at what the man did in another movie, right? And we base what we see in this one according to that one. And we may have loved Creed. So because we didn't get that same energy that we got when we saw Creed, we're saying, well, it's not that good, because he didn't do this. And it's like, how simple-minded can we get as a people to watch a person do millions of movies and try to equate an act that he did in this movie or she did in this movie with something that they did 10 years or 5 years ago? It's like, that's very superficial, and it is very immature, because these are nothing but roles, man. These are roles. What did you... I'd rather have you say, what did you get from this action? See, not that he's cute and he, we got to stop that, and we got to continue to see what did I learn? Because if you left that movie and didn't learn anything, something's got to be wrong.
Some people are not going there to learn, though. That's what my point is. They're looking for it, and they're like, man, it's not a good vampire movie. Really, the vampires is a sidetrack, and it's like, no, they represent, the sucking of the blood of the culture. That's what that. Okay. Teresa said different perspectives provide another aspect of what was told as a part of the story being told. I appreciate that. There's layers to it. I mean, you got to go there. If you go there just looking for action to happen, it was action in the movie, but you're missing the whole point. It's a whole big old iceberg up under the water that you have to.
That's good. That's good. Because all we're doing right now is what we call elucidating or explaining. Each of us, we're explaining. You went to the movie. I went to the movie. Most of the audience have gone to the movie, and all we're saying is, this is what I took from that. And
that's a lot. We taking a lot. You can see.
And we're putting all this together, and all of us, again, this is my pet peeve. I'm always saying the same thing over and over again. What are we learning to become better people? We've got to be, no matter what we do, at the end of the day, did it make you a better person? Did it make me a better person? If it did, keep moving with it. If it didn't, cut it. So I'm done hitting it. So let's quit it.
Now, I'm going to say this. Another thing that I love that Ryan Coogler did. He had the Native Americans in there. They was a small part, but he showed them in it. You can't tell a story about America without talking about the original Americans that was in America. They were they were fighting the same evil that we would end up fighting in the movie. They were fighting when the what's the name, Remick came, he was running from the Native Americans. They was fighting, they had the same fight that we have, or that everyone in this movie had the same fight. Against this same wickedness that is prevalent in this country, or the culture, the wicked culture that's in this country. I'm gonna say that they were in it, and I'm glad, because a lot of times you have a black movie, they don't show Native American, but I'm glad he did show the presence of the Native Americans, and they were there fighting the same evil, trying to fight the same battles that we end up having to fight.
And I noticed too that what Ryan Coogler did is when you look at the evil and the wickedness of the vampires, once you're bitten by the evils of a society, you become like that society. Right. Even though you may say, "Oh, I'm never going to do that." But the point of it is, it overwhelms you. It's so powerful, man. It's like when you're educated as a child through a Eurocentric system. You can say, and I can say all I want to, well, it didn't affect me, but it affects us all, because that's all we know. And that's all they knew. When they became vampires, all they wanted was that blood. And I don't care who you were out to get people.
And if you think about the evil that's in the movie, what the evil was doing was trying to play on your pain. All throughout, even when they got married, it's like, I could see your pain. He offered, I could take your pain away. Everything. And when Stack was talking to Smoke, once he got bit, he said, man, all of this stuff that we're going through, we could erase all of that. It's like you're playing on people's pain and their desperation to get away. And we are constantly in this country seeking to get away from the hurt that we have been going through. This is what they were speaking on. They kept trying to entice you with getting away from this. They was trying to entice you with something. It was like, everything. Everybody's mad at what's her name, Grace. Okay, right? But she had a choice. It was her daughter on the line. A lot of times if your kid is on the line, whatever, y'all little juke joint, it's over with. Come. We about to. And so I don't really blame people like, oh, she blew it up for everybody, but she made a choice because they presented that. Don't make us go back to the shop. And she thought about her daughter. That was a mother worried about her daughter. Everything else didn't matter. So just like Stack loved his brothers, Smoke loved Stack, Stack loved Smoke. Smoke loved Sammy, but she loved her family too.
It's her husband. You remember he was saying, "Bo." He said, "Come on, let's go. I got the car." And it was like it was so strong. The census was so strong that it's like Stack almost pulled Smoke out. Then they had to tell him, hold on for a second, this is when Annie and them was telling him in the house when Stack kept talking and he kept looking at him. It's like he had almost gotten through to him, even with Bo. He almost had gotten through to his wife. So the point of it is this wickedness, this evil is so tempting. It's very tempting.
Because of our pain, everything we're going through. We want to alleviate. Everything we're doing is to alleviate the pain that we're going. We're getting away from pain. Everything we're doing. Sammy had a dream, and his dream was to get away from Mississippi. He kept talking about the Jim Crow and all this stuff like that. You know, I don't want to be. And his dad was telling him to come to the church. He's like, man, I'm not doing that. I got dreams and aspirations, but there's pain that you got to go through to achieve your dreams, and you're running from pain. So a lot of times the evil was trying to do was entice you. And even with the when Remick first came down, when the natives was chasing him, he came to the couple's house, and they had their guns on him. He was like, look, man, he said he appealed to their when he said they did this to my wife and all this stuff. Then he saw like they poor, they out there, they ain't got, and he said they thought they took all my money, but I still, so whatever it takes to entice you. And they looked at the money, they like, man, he said, y'all can have it, you know. And they were like, okay, yeah. So they let him in. And they invited him in because of their situation, the situation that they were in. And he fed off of that. So he was like this vampire, but he was also like the devil. And that's what he really represented, the devil and the vampire.
And I saw something in Sammy's dad, the preacher. He didn't have a major role, but I saw him. You have to look at, some people talked about him that I talked to. They were really dogging him out because, you know, he was a preacher and he just wanted his son to be under his, you know, tutelage because he made him read the Bible and all that. But you have to look at where people are, man. This is all that man probably have known, the preacher, the father. This is all he has known all his life. That was his world. That was his life. So he was just being who he had been taught to be. So you can't fault a man that does what he's been taught to do, or a woman, all of their lives, because you see something different and I see something different. Now, we may not agree with it, but you can't change a man or a woman just because we see something that they don't see. All this man knew was the Bible. All this man knew was religion. All this man knew was the church. All this man knew was that. So he came to his son probably the same way he had been taught. So to expect him to change and to expect him to change. What in the world do you think would happen to a person like that to change over? That's impossible is what I'm trying to say. It's not going to happen.
I don't even knock the father. He is, and he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's trying to protect his son. And in the end, if he told him, you keep going out doing this stuff, you keep dancing with the devil, he gonna follow you home. And that's what ended up happening. But I mean, so I don't knock his father at all. I think his father is trying to protect his son, and he's trying to protect the people in the community. Come here, don't go out there with the demons and vampires. Like, the vampires wasn't trying to come and get in there, because that was the daytime church thing. But I think his father did what he was supposed to be doing. As a father, you do what you know. I think Sammy was just ambition and wanted to get out into the world, and what happened because of, those ambitions. Now I'm gonna get it. Did you have anything else you want to keep going?
No, we can keep going.
All right, so I want to get into the women of the movie. The Stack, we keep saying Stack and Smoke. Stack and Smoke had real names. They mentioned them in the movie. And the 2 points that they mentioned them, the only people that mentioned them was the women that they were with. And Elias was Stack, and Mary called him that when she went and she was with him. So what I'm getting at with this, Smoke and Stack were nicknames that they had before they went to Chicago, because everyone in town knew them by Smoke and Stack. The Smoke Stack twins. It's like when he said, the little girl, come here, she's like, you ever heard of them? He's like, yeah, I heard of them. When he said, well, I'm one, she like, oh, because they already made their name. For whatever reasons they gave. And I'm thinking Stack maybe because he was about stacking money. I think Smoke, the thing about him, if you think, he's always trying to smoke, but he don't know how to roll a cigarette. His brother was rolling. He said, roll me a cigarette. And his brother do it, because then when at the end he tried to, he didn't know how. And I think maybe they gave him that. Like, we do that. Your name is Smoke. You always want to smoke, but you don't know how to roll cigarette. And then he got the cigarette from the white dude. But he was showing at the end he was trying to. And I think, when Mary called him that, she's like, we unpeel for a woman. It's like, I know who you really are. All this facade you putting on, are you doing all this stuff in the streets, but I know who you are because I have intimate time with you, not sexual intimate, but intimate moments that I know who you really are. And I think that's what Annie showed, because at the end she said that when she came with the baby, she said he started smoking. He was at that point, that crossroad, and she appeared with the baby. And she said, she called him by his name, Elijah. you want to hold her. She said, but first put that cigarette down because I don't want the smoke to get on her. Now, his name is Smoke, which I'm saying, I'm calling you Elijah. I want you as that man, the core of who you are, to hold our baby, not this smoke person that you putting on. And I think that's what that meant. It was a double entendre where she was saying, get rid of all that facade. Now come and be a father to our kid in this afterworld. Get rid of the smoke. I don't want to get that smoke on our child.
Wow, that's heavy. That's just like a parent. You know, we all have these names in the street that we're known by, but when that parent calls your name, you know what time it is because they know who you are. They raised you, they birthed you, they were there for you. So they a lot of times, you know, you want to be big man on campus, but when the parent calls that name, you need to humble yourself. And
I think a lot of us as men, we have that toughness, and then it's like with the woman that we really care about, we will unwind.
I told you last time we had our broadcast, you know, they called me Icky in Fort Wayne. They even call me Icky now, but you know, my mama called me. I got to go see what she wants, you know. But this was an excellent movie. In fact, you done got me in part of this Rotten Tomatoes group where I'm critiquing movies and things now. You know, the Piano Man and other movies. You know, now even my
piano
mind,
lesson.
Your piano lesson. Even my mind now it's transforming. So I appreciate that from the audience, the callers. My mind is going through something now when I watch movies instead of just looking at the bang bang scenes and all of the different things that happen. I'm beginning to look at movies in the light to say, hey, what is that really telling me? What can I learn from that? And that's what I appreciate about this. So I'll be watching some more movies. We'll be doing some more reviews.
We'll do some more movie reviews down the line.
And things.
Yeah. Josiah said, I didn't see the movie. I'm just here to listen to your input about the movie. I appreciate you showing up, brother. And Stephanie said the roof is on fire. And this is something, I think that's what the symbol that they were showing. When they say he burnt the roof, you know, roof is on fire. We burnt the roof down. You know,
excellent movie, man.
And it's excellent. I think that if it takes a lot, and it shows the intricacies and the genius of Coogler, everything that he was trying to, because people are talking. We could go talking about this in different characters. We haven't broken down a lot of these characters, but in full tilt, we could have got into Remick more. But I think that we got into that enough. What's her Wumney Masuku? That's the African sister that was played Annie. I applaud all of that. I applaud everything with the movie. But yeah, it's a great movie.
I think it was, man. And I might go see it again, man, because I normally, I go to the movie once and that's it. But I might go see that one again only because there was so much to learn, and I know I didn't get everything. Every time I watch it, I'll see something that I didn't see before. Right. But the thing of it is, I want to make sure whatever I see and I learn, I want to use it to my life to make me become a better person.
And this is what happens with many of us with music. Also, we are here artists, and we like what they call crack music. It's just the music that's just the good beat, and it's not giving you, it's not feeding you. You know, you just the lyrics don't feed you. But then there's other songs, and it's like some people be like, "Oh man, that is good." And every time you listen to it, you get another little nuance, and you say, "Oh man, this was something. This was a double entendre. This was a triple entendre." When they said this, and they're breaking down, they're listening for the little nuances into it. And some people, they don't hear it at all. They just want, is the beat good? Right. And it's like, this is how a lot of times, but you gotta, keep feeding people. Wow. You can't get me with no just action pack, because I'm gonna be like, okay, what am I getting from it?
Wow.
All
right, though. This is the Jah and Kev show. We definitely appreciate, and let me say this before we go off the air. We don't often say it, but I want to take at least a minute to say this to all those who commented and those who called in. We truly appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts that you've taken time out of your busy schedule to tune in. I know you've had rough days, or you just, you want to unwind. You may be getting off from work, or you just, want to hear something that's encouraging. I truly thank you on behalf of Kev. We definitely thank you for tuning in to us every first and third Tuesday at 6:30. And we just want you to know that just as host of a broadcast, a podcast, that oftentimes people don't say this, but we're saying to all of you, you don't know how much that makes us appreciate you more, because we like these discussions and we want you to grow with us. We want to grow together, and we just thank you is what I'm trying to say for taking time out to watch this broadcast.
And tune in, go to our Facebook page, Jah and Kev Show, subscribe to it. if you want to look at the show again or revisit it on our YouTube page. That give us more. Yeah,
we got the email too. We have an email that you can. If you want us to talk about a subject, let's say you say, well, Jah and Kev, this subject is going around and you guys, it's contemporary and no one's talking about it. Email us and then put the subject in there and we'll revisit it. Kev and I will, and then we'll let you know that we're going to do it. You got the email address for
it's JahKevShow@gmail.com. Jah Kev, not and. It's not the.
Okay.
It's just JahKevShow@gmail.com.
And tell someone about this broadcast, because a lot of other people that didn't get a chance to hear this, I'm sure they would have benefited from it. So on behalf of Brother Kev, I'm Brother Jah. We'll see you guys not next week, but that following Tuesday with a brand new subject ready to go. We thank you so much. And as they say, we out of here.